Hi, everybody. I'm Mia. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm really excited to have Ethan Lewis with me here today. Um, Ethan's amazing. He's does all kinds of things. He's a writer, a musician, a podcaster, and a working naturopath. And we're going to talk about kind of the current state of holistic health and deprogramming around vitality, and even kind of get into like the beauty industry. And we'll talk about what Ethan is creating with his new company, Serona. That's really cool. And first, Ethan, I'd love to hand it over to you if you just want to give a little background of maybe you and your health and kind of awakening journey. What led you where you are today? Because also, and this probably goes without saying because we're chatting, you're super awake and tuned in, and one of like the very rare, you know, practitioners or naturopaths who kind of have gone through the portal of the last 5 years, right? Who like
Hmm.
talk real talk about what's going on and exposing pharma and all the negative things. So I just appreciate you for that.
Yeah, nice. Well, how far back do you want me to go? We can start back all the way at the beginning. Since I fell out of my mama's hoo-ha back in Newark, Ohio, all the way back then. If you want to go there.
I mean, if it relates, yeah, because I know you did have an interesting upbringing.
Yeah, well, that's what
Sounds
I'm
like.
saying. A lot of people
Mhm.
want to know how I got from here because you look at my family, I'm like total black sheep. That's not why I always wear black. I just like black, but yeah, there's a huge difference between me and pretty much everybody in my family. It's like, how did he come from that? So yeah, I was the one thing that actually is a common vein running all the way from when I was first born till now is I joke obviously, but I essentially was born with a bottle of supplements in my hand. My grandfather was a nutritionist. I learned so much from him. Essentially, I got a lifelong mentorship with him since I was could even understand words and begin to speak. And so I've been taking, very high end nutraceuticals my whole life. Like I knew from the beginning because he knew that not all nutrition supplements are created the same. In fact, very few of them are even worth taking. Most of them are all hype. And the other ones that aren't all hype, they either aren't that bioavailable and it's basically just coming out in your fecal matter. When you go to the bathroom, you're not absorbing all of it. And so I knew that from a very, very young age. And so on the nutrition side of it, we can follow that all the way up to this point. But before we go there, I'll just kind of go in sequential order. So I was actually raised in a Pentecostal Church of God by my mom, like the crazy stuff. Like, the women could not cut their hair, guys had to cut their hair. When I say women could not cut their hair, I mean not even a bit. If you took a pair of scissors to one hair and took a little
Oh,
centimeter
wow.
off of it, you were going to burn in hell. That's their viewpoint. No makeup, no jewelry, no TV, no movies, no movie theater, no secular music, no dancing. Obviously, no drinking, smoking, cussing, having sex, none of the standard
Like
stuff, right?
Footloose.
Yeah. So that's what I was raised in. Like, I didn't
Mhm.
even get to go to any high school dances or proms or anything like that because, well, dancing was a sin, which is wild because it's not even in the Bible. I don't even know where they get that from. But, that's just the way a lot of things are. I mean, it's not just religion that's afflicted with these things where they just make stuff up that's not even in their own founding documents. And then
Yeah.
it evolves over time. This happens in every category of human experience in the world, whether it's in religion or government or because like right now our government's operating completely unconstitutionally. All the religions out there, are the ones that are carrying the Bibles around and their holy texts around, 99.9% of them are operating off of tenets and ideas that are not even in their book. Or things that actually go against like the opposite of what's in their book, right? So this
Mhm.
happens everywhere. It also happens in science and medicine and nutrition, literally anything you can think of. That's the world we've been living in. It's a world of illusion and delusion. And so it is a wonder how I got to where I am now, being raised in that Pentecostal Church of God. That's on my mom's side. My mom and dad got divorced when I was a baby, but my my dad on my dad's side, my grandfather was a Southern Baptist minister. So I got it from both sides. Now, believe it or not, or maybe you might believe it, depends on how much you know about Southern Baptists and Pentecostals, but the Southern Baptist side of it was far more relaxed than the Pentecostal stuff was. But but yeah, so I guess you could jokingly say I was born with a bottle of supplements in one hand and a Bible in the other hand, right? Because that's kind of how I was raised in all of it. So it kind of took me down this path of I wasn't really originally going to do either one of them. I wasn't planning on becoming a minister. I wasn't planning on starting a ministry of any kind. Now I have both a spiritual ministry and a health ministry because I've categorized everything under ministry because, believe it or not, I think that's the best way to go, not in a religious sense, but just because in America, at least, we do have these things in place that where it's constitutionally protected for us to, hold sincere, conscientious beliefs, whether it's something spiritual or physical or whatever. And the government can call it religion all they want. I don't care. To me, it's not religion because I know the word religion comes from the Latin word religare, which literally means return to bondage. So we're doing the opposite of that. But if they want to call it religion, that's fine as long as they, honor my unalienable God-given natural rights. We'll take it. So everything I do is set up as a ministry. But what happened was along the way, my grandfather on my dad's side, the one that was a Southern Baptist minister, he was also a custom home builder. And so for a while, from the time I was a teenager, I got involved in building homes and doing remodeling and things like that. And the very first successful business I started basically while I was in college. So in my early 20s, it was a high-end remodeling business. So I was a general contractor and doing interior design and high-end remodels and stuff like that. And it was a really profitable business, and I made a lot of good contacts along the way and learned a lot of good stuff. But ultimately, that's not where I stayed because even while I was doing that, and as you know, when you start a business, you have to kind of be more present in the business at first and work on it more and more. But I was able to eventually, subcontract most things out, and the business kind of went on autopilot, and I was able to start getting back to the things that were at my roots, which was nutrition, physical health, and the Bible, spiritual health. And when I say the Bible, I mean the real, like what the Bible really says, not what they say that it says, right? Same thing with health. I mean, it's all about getting back to what will really make you healthy, not what they have said is going to make you healthy. Because religion has controlled the Bible for so long, and Big Pharma has controlled health for so long. So, I never let go of any of those things. I was kind of always dabbling in the background. And along the way, I started mentoring let me back up just a little bit. My undergrad was at Ohio State in psychology, which, actually ended up working very well for everything that I do because I really think that actually a lot of health, and this is what I do in my naturopathic practice now, most of it actually starts with your psychology. And so I take what they call a biopsychological approach to your health. Now, they kind of both feed into each other. It's like a self-contained, self-feeding loop and echo chamber. But if one is out of sync, it's going to be really hard to get the other one where it needs to be. So if the mind is not sound, the body's not going to be sound. If the body's not sound, the mind is not going to be sound. Again, it's that loop, almost like the symbolic image of the Ouroboros, the serpent eating its own tail, right? So, and not so ironically, the image for physical health has long been in mythology and esoteric wisdom has been the serpent. And we don't necessarily need to go into that discussion. I just wanted to bring that up while I was saying that. But so I did my undergrad in psychology, which I think served me really well. But I started mentoring I started going back to school and stuff for naturopathy and natural health and biochemistry and all kinds of stuff. I literally kind of just put uh, my graduate education, I put kind of like pieced it together myself, and I did it probably in a more intense way than if I would have just went to a cookie cutter program like take these classes, regurgitate the information back to the teacher on test day, and here's your naturopathic degree, right? So I mentored with an Amazonian shaman actually for 5 years in Hawaii, where you are.
Where
And
in
so
what what island?
what's the one where Honolulu is? I always mess up the
Okay,
names.
Oahu. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he was close to
Oh,
Honolulu. So,
nice. Okay, sorry
but
to cut you off.
so yeah, so I was there for 5 years on and on. Like I wasn't just there for 5 years straight. I wasn't like waking up every day and doing shaman stuff every day. But yeah, I did mentor when I was there quite a bit and mentored with him for 5 years, learned all the plant medicine stuff, like the real crazy stuff, right? DMT, ayahuasca, all that. And I know there's a lot of that going on in Hawaii, but so I did 5 years of that. But before that I did a 5 year mentorship with a medical doctor who actually gave up his medical license, became a naturopath,
Wow. Hmm.
and then he actually got shut down by the FDA. And I started to kind of figure out things from a legal perspective, like, okay, I'm gonna have to do something different, which is what I've done now with this ministry, which is why it's a health ministry.
Yeah.
It's not a commercial practice. And by the way, we don't actually practice anything. That's the problem. They don't actually. The reason they get away with what they're doing is because they never actually do anything correct. They're just practicing. They're
Right.
always practicing, right? So, it's never official.
True.
It's just practice. So, but anyway, so I started mentoring with another naturopathic doctor for another 5 years. So I had
Wow.
15 years collectively of official mentorship with naturopaths, medical doctor, for I should say former medical doctors and shamans. And that's kind of how, and along the way, I went back to, various colleges and universities and took a shit ton of courses in naturopathy and natural health and all this. And so collectively, I've probably had about 20 years worth of formal education between all the classes and the mentorship in natural health, in plant medicine, in naturopathy, all that stuff. And so that's how I kind of arrived where I'm at now. And I can tell you honestly, I learned way more mentoring with these guys than I ever did in any formal classroom setting. Not to poo-poo on college degrees, but to be honest, I don't think they're worth all that much. You'll learn a lot more mentoring with somebody and doing your own research, as long as you're not off in the weeds, studying crazy stuff that's not real. But for most things, I think you're going to be better served if you actually and this is the way they used to do it before, the system we have now, the Rockefeller
Mhm.
indoctrination system, is you would mentor with somebody who knew what the hell they were doing. They had mentored with somebody who knew what the hell they were doing, for,
Yeah.
hundreds of years or thousands of years. Sometimes all this knowledge and wisdom and experience was passed on, right? So I took that approach and mixed it with the formal education. So that's how I got to where I'm at. But um, what I ended up doing was several years ago, I sold the general contracting company and I decided to start this company that we have now. It's called Serona. And we got into specifically nano-sizing vital nutrients. And the most important one out of that is glutathione.
Mhm.
And the reason we started nano-sizing glutathione, I say we, it's not like we're the first ones to do it. It's a technology that's been around for a little while now, not really old, but there's not that many science labs out there that know how to do it well, and also not that many that actually are doing it for the things I think it should be done for. As far as I know, there's only a small handful of people out there nano-sizing glutathione, like we are. And out of all of those, we actually have the most potent because we developed a proprietary formula and way of doing it that actually preserves the glutathione or any of the nutrients, doesn't matter what it is, vitamin B12, D3, any of them. It preserves it in a stabilized suspension. We actually call it stasis. Um, is our proprietary. It's our proprietary system. It's called Stasis Nanotechnology, and it's STA-SUS, short for stable suspension. And with glutathione, that's very important because glutathione is super fragile. It naturally breaks down even just in water, even if it's ultra pure water. So some of the scientists that are part of Serona in our lab in manufacturing and making the Serona glutathione specifically, they come from a background of owning pharmaceutical companies where they used to make pure glutathione in ultra pure water for the clinics that have the glutathione IVs, right? And if that glutathione was older than 1 day old, they would throw it out. They wouldn't sell it to the clinics. That's how unstable it is, right? And this is keeping it
Yeah.
at proper temperatures, like super, super cold temperatures, right? So the problem, and this is why most companies and people never really wanted to get into it because it's super expensive. Nobody figured it out. How do we stabilize this stuff? Well, it turns out the method that we came up with that nobody else has, it actually preserves it completely stable for 2 years in our bottle. So it's a huge leap beyond what anybody's ever done. There's other nano companies out there that do make nano supplements. Number one, some of them are not truly nano-sized. So I'll warn you guys with that. Number two, a lot of them, if not all of them, that I'm aware of that are readily available to the public, are usually water based. And so they're highly unstable. As soon as glutathione in a water based solution, as soon as you open the bottle, all of a sudden it's exposed to oxygen, it's exposed to light, starts breaking it down really fast, right? So that's why it's important to have it in the nano emulsion between water and oil, like we've done. Now, they always say you can't mix water and oil, right? Well, if you go down to a tiny enough level, which nano sized is 1,000 times smaller than a micron. So you go
Yeah.
down to that small of a level, it's kind of like in physics and in the quantum physics world, the smaller down you go, the more the lines blur between what we call reality and not, right? So it's kind of like that in the nano world where water and oil do kind of start to mix together at that level. And so that's why
Mhm.
we do it that way. And so technically, depends on how you want to define the words, I guess, but technically we're successfully mixing water and oil. And so that's how we're doing this in a stable suspension that preserves the glutathione in that true nano size form, that keeps it bioavailable for a long period of time, especially compared to other things. So that's where we're at today with that. And I can explain about glutathione and what it is if you want me to go into that, but because I know that was a long-winded answer, so I'll let you interject there.
No, all good. And yeah, I have it. I want to talk all about this and I have questions. But
Yeah.
even before we even go back, I want to kind of dial back because I feel like it would be helpful, even if people know this, just for you to explain again, like what the difference of a naturopath perspective is than a normal doctor. And I know you talked about the biopsychology part, which is huge. And I think that's so
Yeah.
leading edge because that's the truth. We are creating reality with our mind in a sense. So that's like a big conversation. Our beliefs really matter, how we feel about ourselves, if we love ourselves. But even just from
Mhm.
a base level, like I feel like it's good to just be reminded what's a naturopath doing versus a normal doctor, and why would we want to, why is it better?
Well,
You know?
naturopaths, it's just like any field. There's disagreements amongst those in the field as, what you should be doing, how you should be doing it, all of that, right? But I will say that in general, a naturopath is basically somebody who emphasizes the body's inherent ability to heal itself rather than trying to
Yeah.
use things like what allopathic medicine does, which is what a medical doctor is. They practice allopathic medicine as opposed to naturopathic medicine. They mostly, unless you're talking, trauma, where they go in and you need medical doctors for that. You're cut open, you're bleeding, your guts are spilling out. You need a medical doctor. If you got a broken bone, you need a medical doctor. They're really good at that. They're really good at saving people's lives in emergency situations. The technology's gotten way better. The surgeries have gotten better. So there is a place for it. But when it comes to other things like, the what you would call chronic diseases, uh,
Right.
a naturopath is going to say, okay, that's where you need to cross over from going to see a medical doctor and go see, instead of an MD, you need to see an ND, a naturopathic doctor. And the reason is because first and foremost, the philosophy of a naturopath is first do no harm, right? And those other things
Right.
that you're calling chronic diseases, what what we've found is that, and I don't think this is an opinion, this is rooted in hardcore scientific, well-established facts, that what most of the time, not always, there's never a cookie cutter thing with it. And this is the other problem with allopathic medicine. They usually take cookie cutter approaches to everything, but not everybody's body is the same, and not everybody develops these conditions the same way. But most of the time, it's it's because your body has either had to deal with toxic overload for decades and decades and decades, right? Or we've
Exactly.
had to
Yeah.
deal. What's that?
I just said exactly. Yeah, I think that's really glazed over. A lot of
Yeah.
things that are like conditions, because I believe to a degree aging is kind of like a program again that
Hmm.
we can buy into and then find evidence of it. But what if a lot of that evidence is like just that we need to detox, like
Right.
what you're talking
Yeah, most of it is.
about.
And so that's how naturopaths look at it. We look at it like, okay, you have high blood pressure not because it just happens. You have diabetes not because it just happens. You have cancer not because it just happens. It's because you have worn down something in your body over long periods of time and it's not working right. You're not getting the raw materials at a micro level in the body that it needs to repair itself and make it function properly. And you've been doing it for long periods of time. It's kind of like if you drove your car and never did an oil change. Eventually the damn engine is going to freeze up.
Yeah,
It's going to blow up, right? Same thing is happening in your body. So all of these things that medical doctors treat with these medications. And by the way, they're not treating the root core problem. They're just masking the symptoms. They're managing symptoms, right? That's all they're doing. There is nothing in the
yeah,
medical world with big pharma prescriptions that actually cures any disease. This is why they don't want anybody claiming that something cures, prevents, or treats any disease because they don't even do it. They can't cure,
yeah.
prevent, or treat a disease. All they can do is manage symptoms, right?
Yeah, and this is why I feel like this is so important to talk about this relative to what you're doing with your products because um it's really about health and vitality and I want to talk
Hmm.
about even the beauty industry a little bit because all of these conversations have become so murky and there's so much social engineering by the powers, I'll say the powers that were, to just basically make it very polarized. It's like even when we
Yeah.
talk about things like vitality or health or that is beauty. And instead we've gotten to this conversation in the mainstream about, are people going to, there's a lot of programming that makes people feel bad about themselves and not love themselves, not love their bodies, want to be something different, want to be very young looking. So then people are doing all of these procedures that are harmful, like the Botox and all the things. And no
Hmm.
judgment. It's just there's that camp. And then there's the people that are like, well, I don't want to do that. I want to be natural. But because there's also so much shame and judgment and just stickiness within the whole conversation at that point, then even the people who are like, I want to be natural, then they kind of, there's also that like shame for wanting to do anything when really it's not, the conversation shouldn't be about how we look on the outside necessarily, but also
Right.
how we look on the outside is a reflection of our inner beauty, how we feel about
Yep.
ourselves. Do we love ourselves? Do we want to take care of ourselves? And also, are we nourished? Like you're saying, are we getting everything that we need? We've been like, literally poisoned by the water, the environment, the food. So it's like I feel like
Everything.
this conversation, yeah, it's just been so convoluted when it's like, let's talk about all the things. Let's talk about like, I mean, like what you're doing is created something and I love it. I've been taking it and I feel the like high, like my brain is like, yes, loving this product.
Yeah, it's like, where has
And
this been? But you
yeah,
you
like
know
where's
what?
this?
You know what's happening with it, and it's so we're not managing symptoms. We're not treating symptoms. Now, there's
Right.
times where I will say with reservation, what I said earlier, that there's nothing in big pharma or the allopathic world that actually cures or uh, heals anything. Technically, an antibiotic can do that. It's kind of like war by attrition because it's an anti-biological, so it kills everything in its path, right? But war by attrition, if anybody knows what that is, that's where it's like, yeah, we're going to lose a bunch of our people, but we're going to take out more of theirs in the process, and so we're going to win, right? Because we still have people left standing. So the body in theory, as long as you don't get too much of an antibiotic and it doesn't cause other problems, because I've seen it cause serious problems with people, especially in the gut. But
Yeah.
you know, it technically does cure the problem, because the problem is a bacteria, an infection that's going to, you know, take over and cause even worse problems, maybe even kill you if you don't get rid of it. So there is a time and a place, again, for allopathic medicine. But overall, you know, you have, you know, you have some kind of gut issue, you have a blood pressure issue or blood sugar issue or a cholesterol issue or um, you know, even cancer, stuff like that. They're going to go and they're going to, I mean, cancer is a little different thing, but the other things I mentioned, they're going to basically just try to manage the symptoms, which doesn't fix the problem. So a naturopath identifies and treats the cause, the root problem, not the symptoms. And we recognize the fact that the reason why your body has gotten to this point, you didn't get there overnight. So a lot of times it's not, you're not going to, you know, fix the problem fast, but it's because you haven't been giving the body what it needs to keep itself healthy, right? And so what we do is we just give the body what it's been looking for so it can heal itself, because the body can heal itself. A doctor can't heal you. A doctor can't give you anything to cure you.
Right.
It's like the old saying, physician, heal thyself, right? And that's what everybody needs to do. I can't heal or cure you.
Yeah.
You have to do that for yourself. All I can do is be a coach, a guide, a mentor, and based off of my knowledge and experience and wisdom I've gathered over decades of doing this and putting it into real practice and seeing it happen. So that practice actually turned into real world knowledge. It's no longer practice, right? So, but that's where that's coming from. And so if you do the things that I tell you to do, or that another naturopathic practitioner tells you to do, as long as they know what they're talking about, then there's a good chance it's actually going to work if you didn't wait too long, because it's just like a
Yeah.
house. You know, if it gets too far, they condemn the house. You got to tear it down and start
Yeah.
over, right?
And I just love it because it's like, again, it's like what you're saying, what I was saying about that, but kind of like that other piece is, it's really when we heal from the inside out, when we support our vitality, um detoxification, making sure we're getting everything that we need, minerals, whatever, then like we're gonna feel good in our body, right? We're gonna feel stronger. We're
Right.
not gonna be having sickness symptoms, really. I mean, detox can be a little bit like that, but we're not going to really get ill. We're not going to have these diseases people are talking about. And also another byproduct is, you know, we're gonna feel more beautiful, because that is health and that is vitality. And so
Yep.
I mean, I think that what you're doing is great, because it is really, and I love this, and I have some of the other ones, and this one's great, and we should talk about them. But basically, it's like they're helping us heal and reset to kind of what I call like our divine blueprint.
Yeah.
Also, like, I know a lot of people are going to be attracted to it kind of from that perspective of like, okay, I want my skin to feel better and look better. And
Hmm.
also, like, I'm curious, I wanted to ask you about, you know, people are really looking to like repigment their hair that's going gray. And that's a conversation I'm curious about, because to me, it's like another one of these programs we've been given of, oh, you're supposed to expect to get old. You're supposed to expect to
No,
deteriorate. Gray hair is normal, but I
it's
don't
not
think it
normal.
is. I think it's a reflection that it's leaching
Yeah.
something from our body that we need, right? I would love to
Yep.
hear your perspective on that.
Well, there's a lot of reasons why your hair turns gray, and glutathione actually combats that from several angles.
Mm.
Some of it could be mineral deficiency, some of it could be stress, some of it could actually be hydrogen peroxide in the body,
Ah,
bleaching the
okay.
hair, so to speak, right? And
Oh,
so that's
okay.
an oxidative effect. It's a redox
Mhm.
effect, actually. And because hydrogen peroxide, a lot of people don't know this, but it's actually considered a redox molecule. A lot of people drink the ASEA redox. Well,
Mhm.
hydrogen peroxide is also a redox thing. And you know, anything that has that bleaching effect will make your hair turn, and it's not even turning gray. We call it turning gray. And it's not. It's just that it's actually clear. There's no color
Yeah.
in it, right? So
Mhm.
your hair follicles that normally would produce the color in the hair, it's just not doing it. Now, sometimes it can be from stress too. I have
Yeah.
actually seen people who are in high school that turn fully gray. And of course,
Yeah.
a lot of your doctors will say, "Well,
Okay.
that's genetic." And
No
okay,
way.
I don't,
Yeah.
I don't, I don't buy any of it. It may be coming
So,
from your genes, but your genes, if anyone's read the book, The Biology of Belief by Dr. Bruce
yep.
Lipton,
Great book.
he has conclusively proven, even in mainstream like allopathic medical accepted labs at these larger universities has proven conclusively that you can switch on and off the switches in the genes, right? There's no
Yes,
such thing
definitely.
as something that runs in the family. The only thing with that is it's like, no, dude, it's not running in your family. The problem is that nobody runs in your family. That's your health problem right there,
Okay,
right?
I gotta. I have a great story. So yeah, what you said, like, okay, yeah, we need to take better care of ourselves. It's such a huge conversation, and it's great because it's finally hitting the mainstream in a bigger way,
Yeah.
and I
Well,
love
and
that.
by the
But
way, I'm 45 and you see this is just
exactly,
three
and you,
look
yeah,
look at
you
my
look
hair,
great.
right? I this is hat hair, but I literally 45 years old. This is 3 years of nano-glutathione.
Yeah, I mean that speaks for itself because you look
Well,
great,
and there's no filters
and
here. You can see my skin. No bags or
no, you
anything.
do have
It's not
great
that I
skin.
can't get it. Like if I go out and I have one hell of a weekend and I sleep like 3 hours a night and I do a bunch of drinking and that's a lot of stress on the body. Like I can look tired. Sometimes I occasionally, unfortunately, still have to do videos and podcasts because I'm, being the CEO and founder of a company now and doing all this. There are nights I don't get a lot of sleep. And so there are
Right.
days that I don't look as well. But if I'm well rested and I'm taking my glutathione supplements and I'm hydrated and I'm getting enough sleep, this is what I look like.
Yeah, and and on that note too, like I feel like I've really part of my awakening journey started with, well, it's a whole other conversation, but we'll have maybe talk about later, but it's partly from religion and spirituality because my father is actually ordained and went to divinity school and is a professor. So there's a lot there. It was a little bit of that thread, and
Yeah,
then also
same.
the thread of health. So yeah, there's the threat of health. And because I started to question certain things about the health industry when I was very young, I feel like I was shown, you start to magnetize experiences and stories to see kind of evidence of that. And a girlfriend of mine, her hair went like gray or white or whatever you're saying, when she was in high school,
Hmm.
and it totally has repigmented. And when she
Yep.
speaks about that experience, she's like, well, I was totally eating vegan. She was drinking tons of soy milk. She also was totally emotional and kind of a wreck.
Yeah.
And she was lucky enough to go to a naturopath that was like, whoa, okay, we need to, we need to, we need to fix this. And her hair is completely pigmented now. So
Yep.
it is the thing, and that just showed me like, oh wow, something else is going on. Not this story that they've been telling us.
Yeah. Well, glutathione, it's called the master antioxidant of the body for a reason. Scientists have known about it for about 100 years. And again, the problem we've had with it, which is why and there's a bunch of glutathione supplements out there, but most people won't take them. Most
Yeah,
naturopaths won't even bother to tell you to take it because they don't really work. Because unless
I've
you
tried.
nano-size it like we did, to where you can swish it around in the mouth so it absorbs directly into the bloodstream sublingually under the tongue through the gums. The only other way to get it effectively is to go to the clinic and get these glutathione IVs because it has to go straight into the bloodstream.
Yeah.
And those are like $200 or $300 a pop,
I'm and
and you
Yep.
might get a few hours worth of glutathione at a max.
And that's the thing is like being in kind of the holistic health world for a long time now, I've tried all the things. So I have done and I do love getting those IVs and those shots sometimes, the B vitamins and all the things. I mean, you
Hmm.
definitely feel a boost. It's great, but like you said, it's expensive. You're not going to do it every day unless you're able to administer
Right.
it yourself. It's expensive. And then I've tried, I've been looking for a glutathione for a while. Like you said, for maybe 5 years, I've been trying things like the NAC. I tried a couple other
Hmm.
things and I didn't feel anything at
Well, you're not going
all.
to. An NAC, I would say, I would rather take NAC than to take
Hmm.
anyone else's glutathione product, and I'll tell you
Okay.
why. Because
Yeah.
your body, if you unless you're getting glutathione directly into the bloodstream, like what happens with ours or what happens with a clinical IV, you're going to swallow it and you're going to absorb almost none of it, if any of it at all, because it gets destroyed in the stomach acids pretty much immediately, right? Even
Okay.
liposomal
Mhm.
glutathione is garbage
Mhm.
because they wrap it in a liposome to protect it so it's not destroying the stomach acids. But by doing that, that makes it not bioavailable anymore. So it's like, well, congratulations, you kept it from getting destroyed in
Yeah.
the stomach acids, but now you're not going to absorb it. And so
And
I
that
think it's something like a maybe 20% absorption rate on liposomal glutathione, if that.
do you feel the same way then about the nano the liposomal, is that how you say it? Do you feel the
Yeah.
same way about the vitamin C then too, and all of those, or what do you think? Because that's controversial. All this stuff people are just
Well, I
learning
think
more, you know?
there's a company out there called Shackley. I'm sure
Mhm.
you've heard of it. It's I was actually raised on Shackley, and I still take some of their stuff. Dr. Shackley actually invented the multivitamin, and it's still a really good company. Now they don't have any nano products. I seriously doubt they'll ever get in the nano game. That's not their
Mhm.
thing. But they have found ways, like their vitamin C is one of the better ones because they've
Okay.
patented a time release thing where it it actually releases it as it passes through stages of the digestive process. It releases not so you don't take the whole thing all at once, but it also has other things in it to help your body absorb and use the vitamin C properly. So there are good forms of, vitamin C out there, and vitamin C is important too with glutathione. And actually, glutathione will help recycle the vitamin C that's in your body. So
Okay.
this is one of the reasons it's called the master antioxidant. The biggest problem with glutathione too, here's the thing, here's why you want to take it. Just like collagen and a few other things, as you age, your body produces less and less of it. And glutathione actually protects your telomeres. And I think a lot of the
Right.
viewers here probably understand, they've heard of telomeres, and they know that if you run out of telomeres, you die, right? So
Mhm.
do the math on it. It's not that hard to figure out. You're producing less and less glutathione every year. My body at the age of 45 is actually producing about half of the glutathione that it did when I was a kid. Okay.
So,
So if I'm not getting it from something direct in the bloodstream, or my body is like, even if I take the NAC, which is what I was about to say about NAC, your
yeah.
body is all basically using that NAC. It's N-acetylcysteine. It's one of the precursors to glutathione production in the body. Your body will take it and make more glutathione. But again, if the body's ability to make glutathione has been diminished, you can give it all the NAC you want and it can't make glutathione. And that's probably what you were experiencing, right?
Yeah, probably because I'm 46, so yeah,
Yeah,
probably. I
so
don't
your
know when
body
it
is also making about
stops.
half the glutathione as it was when you were a kid, right? Yeah. So
Right.
it gets to a point, it's like, yeah, NAC is great, but if your body can't, it's kind of like, okay, I'll use a general contracting analogy because I did it for 20 years. I know it very well. It's like building a house. If you have, you could have all the raw materials in the world, drop them off on a job site. If you don't have any workers, nothing gets built. Or you could have all the best workers in the world. If you have no raw materials on the job site, nothing gets built. Or you could have all the raw materials in the world on the job site, and then all of your workers are sick. They're calling off work. The ones that show up are old. They work about half as fast as they used to. They're getting hurt all the time. So it's getting built really slow. And what the problem is,
Right.
if your body's not keeping up, the repair isn't keeping up with the damage, it starts to eat away at all the things in your body, like the telomeres that causes aging.
Right.
Aging isn't even a normal thing. I mean, I
I
know that's a controversial statement for most,
I
but
agree.
we don't have to age. And glutathione is one of the key things that stops and reverses the aging process.
Yeah, I totally agree. And Honey and I did a really great we did really great activation around just kind of what you're saying, the core of the program of aging, because I totally am with you. I totally believe that. And I think it's really important to kind of hit it from all angles, like give out the body what it needs, the nutrients it needs, the
Yep.
glutathione, the minerals, everything. And also really like you do too. I love that you focus on the mind, because that's so important. And there is, again, there's so much negative programming out there, and it's like, what is our inner talk? Are we looking in the mirror and being mean? Are we hating ourselves? Are we believing? Are we seeing that commercial that's telling us everybody gets old and deteriorates? And are we buying into that belief system? And is it running in our background? Because we really want to start to just pay attention and start to
Yeah.
unwind all that, because it's actually so much more expansive than what we've been told. And I've just seen so much beautiful evidence of this. But I also wanted to get your take on collagen, because that's something that's really kind of controversial subject recently too, because again, it's like there's so many now that we've kind of are stepping more into holistic health in the mainstream, which is beautiful, of course. Then you
Hmm.
get like all flood of products, and people are like, well, what is the source? Is this a good source? Is this even working? Do you take it this way? Is it bioavailable? So it's like you're doing the nano version. I would love to hear like the difference with that, and also like what does that mean for the sourcing of it, the creation, and also like you have these products where you take it internally, and then also that spray that I love that I'm spraying on my face. And how is it different
Yeah, skin
taking it
spray.
to your skin? Like,
Well,
how does that
yeah.
work?
And everything, well, and here, so kind of going back to the whole graying issue, right? That we didn't, there's a couple things I wanted, because it relates to that with the skin and collagen and all that. Well, glutathione, it does a couple things. Number one, it helps your body detox way better than pretty much anything else that you can think of. I would take glutathione over any other thing. If I could only take one thing in the world, it would be I had to pick one supplement, one singular supplement. Now, our elixir has nano-sized B12 in it as well, which means you
Yeah,
don't need
love
the
that.
B12 injections anymore that are expensive, right?
Love that.
Because it goes right into the bloodstream in the mouth sublingually, and it also has nano-sized D3. But if I had to pick just one thing to take, I would take just the nanoglutathione. But and here's why. Not only is it the master antioxidant, it's the master detoxer. Um, our exposure to heavy metals now is through the roof. It's in everything. It's in the air, the water, the soil, the food. It's literally in everything. And glutathione actually acts as a chelating agent, and it helps the body detox these metals by reducing damage to the pigment producing cells. We're talking graying hair, right? But
Right.
obviously, it helps the body get rid of it, so it's not a problem anywhere else. That's one of the reasons why people are seeing, gray, quote unquote, graying hair. There's a lot of other things, obviously, just the oxidation, but there's the melanin synthesis. And anything you can look it up, but how oxidative stress works and
Yeah.
damages the melanocytes over time, and it reduces the amount of melanin that causes your hair to appear gray or white or whatever. And glutathione neutralizes those free radicals. So it does that. Now, think about this. Not only are you taking it internally with the elixir, you're spraying it on your skin, because it's number one ingredient in this is nano-sized glutathione. So you're spraying it on your skin. You can even spray it in your hair if you want, but you're taking it internally. And so I've seen, I don't know if you know who Lewis Herms is. He started the Truth Tour,
Mhm.
and he started using our products, and he was using another glutathione before, and it kind of started to make his hair darken up. We used to joke and call him the silver fox, because he was just like all white, all
Yeah.
gray, silver, whatever, right? Everywhere, whole head, beard, everything. And now you can see today he's about half and half. His color has come
Wow.
back.
That's
But
so
there was
cool.
another glutathione product, because I was on the advisory board of another glutathione company. They dissolved the board. I had issues with the company for a lot of reasons we don't need to talk about, but ended up leaving, and then I started Serona. But even him taking that glutathione was helping him a little bit. Some of his colors was coming back. Now he's been taking ours for quite a while, like 6, 7 months now, and his hair is almost completely brown everywhere now.
Wow.
I think he
That's
still has
so
more gray in
cool.
his beard, but it takes a while. It didn't happen
Yeah,
overnight.
it's rebalancing.
Yeah. But okay, so but also you're spraying it, on your skin. You can spray it anywhere you want to. And if you want to, you can look up Chuck Swindoll Jr. and his testimony with it. He attributes it completely to this. He had a skin condition that was really nasty in several places of his body, with some kind of fungus. I think he said it was, and he was told by medical doctors that it's incurable. He's just going to have to live with it. And he said he really didn't even think it was going to work, but I wanted to send him the product because he has a show. I was like, I didn't even know he had the skin condition. I was just sending him the product to try it, and he wanted to promote, this on the show because he heard about the
Yeah.
glutathione and realized what it
So
was.
cool.
He said, and he's even given his personal testimony on my show and on his show. You can go look it up, and you can see what happened with his arm. But he said that he didn't even think it was going to work, because nothing else has worked. He's tried literally everything you could possibly think of. So he's like, I didn't even think it was going to work. So it's not a placebo effect. Literally within a couple of days, it was about half as bad as it was when he started. And then just a couple of days after that, it was probably about 15% of what it was when he started. And now I've seen it just recently within the last week, and it's almost completely gone. He has two small spots. They're maybe about the size of a $50 or a silver dollar, and on his arm when it was huge. It was all over the whole thing. Nasty, red, scaly, like bad. It looked almost like a burn
I
victim
saw,
type
yeah, I
thing.
saw you. I saw that somewhere. Yeah, I totally. You know, it's massive. That's
So
huge.
yeah,
There's
so
so many
that's
people
what this
suffering.
stuff is, and he was just spraying this. And again, I can't make medical claims. I'm not doing that. I'm just telling you what has happened with him and what
Totally.
he's openly talked about it and gave us personal testimony on it. But so what you're doing with this, so let's kind of unpack that a little bit. Why it's working. Again, it's not curing or healing anything. Doesn't have to. It's just that now suddenly his body is getting the raw materials
But
it
like,
needs to heal itself. Right.
but like, so do you want, okay, so say like there's just someone, okay, so say me, like I want just the overall effects. I wanted to help my skin. I wanted to help the everything. So
Right.
like is is more, or is it like better if you're work really focused on your skin to do the spray, or can you take either, or should you take all of it? You know what I like,
Well,
what's
really, you should do
the
all of it. If you can afford to do all of it, do all of it. Because I do all of it every day, and you can see, like before I started, I'm not even kidding. And Mark Atwood even said it. He hadn't seen. I just did a show with him recently, had not seen him probably in 2 years, and
yeah.
he's like, Ethan looks like he's 10 years younger now. And actually, I probably look about 15 years younger, right? Seriously.
So
I used to have, the bags under the eyes. I used to have the crow's feet. They're gone. There's no
so
filters on this.
cool.
I don't know if you can see. Look.
No, I
Pulls
can
right
see
in.
you like, yeah,
Look,
you
no crow's feet, no bags, right?
yeah, that's amazing. So like, okay, and
Unfortunately, I had a pimple on my nose right here the other day. You can still see that. But guess what?
yeah, yeah.
When it does happen, it happens rarely. But when it does happen, this stuff heals it up really quick, and it's not
So,
as bad as it normally would be, right? So it doesn't like make you immune to everything. You're not going to turn into a glass porcelain doll, but
but it's
you're
just
still human. But
helping.
yeah. But my skin now, this is what I look like in my 20s. What the skin I
So,
had in my 20s, right?
so my other question then is, okay, because I'm kind of like that. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go all in if I'm gonna try this, and I'm excited about it. But some people I know are really sensitive, and you're talking about the detox. I know I have a girlfriend who's like extremely sensitive. So if
Yeah.
someone is sensitive and has a lot of detoxing, do you recommend taking it slow, or just maybe just trying it for a few
Yeah,
days to
with
see?
people like that, I do. I mean, just try it. But I will say this: drink a lot of natural spring water with it. Spring
Okay.
water specifically. That's the water our bodies are designed to ingest. Okay. Purified water, if you don't have anything else, but I recommend natural, clean spring water because that's what you're supposed to drink. Certainly don't want to drink tap water, but if you drink
No.
at least 100 ounces of natural spring water a day while you're on the glutathione, at first, especially, it'll help your body keep flushing out any of the toxins that it's pulling. My mother, unfortunately, has really bad mercury poisoning. She had a lot of mercury
Mhm.
fillings when she was younger. That was back in the day before,
Mhm.
they knew it was toxic and it would leach literally into the brain, right? She
Mhm.
gets bad vertigo, like really dizzy, really bad. Like it puts her in bed. Like she can't move. She's going to throw up, that kind of thing. Like, the whole room's spinning while she's laying down. If she takes too much of our glutathione because it's pulling that
I
mercury out of her
see.
brain.
Yeah.
Now she has to do it because she needs to get it out because
Mhm.
long term it's going to cause some serious problems. And we're working on it, but she has to take really tiny doses every day of this and several other things. And yeah, so it's going to do that
I mean,
for anybody anyway. So you want to drink a ton of
sign.
spring water with it while you're doing it, is what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah, I think that's a really good sign. And I think any kind of health protocol I mean, that's worth anything to a large degree. A lot of it is about detoxing. So we just have to
Yeah.
take care and go slow if you're that person. I'm not that sensitive. I can kind of dive into things, and I don't seem to have that extreme. I mean, sometimes with some things if I overdo it, but I'm not that sensitive. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
dive in. But
Yeah, but the
I'm
collagen you asked about that. So let me get. So
yeah.
that's actually which let's see one two. That's the third ingredient in our skin product, nano-sized collagen. Everything in this is nano-sized. Everything in the elixir, everything in the endo. The endo is CBD, super potent CBD. We just nano-sized it so it absorbs right in the bloodstream a lot quicker. You get all the cannabinoids, the flavonoids, the terpenes. So that there's really nothing like super crazy about that. It is CBD, but it is highly, highly potent. It's the most potent organic, non-GMO CBD oil that we could source anywhere in the world, and then we nano-sized it. We also nano-sized vitamin E and put that in there with it as well. But this, okay, so here's the order of ingredients in the skin. And it's all nano-sized: glutathione, vitamin B3, collagen, hyaluronic acid, vitamin B5, and resveratrol. And
Mhm.
so that's why this stuff is so magic, because it's nano-sized, so it goes instantly into all the cells, instantly. Well, if you're taking the oral stuff, instantly into the bloodstream through the mouth. But you're not going to get this kind of stuff into the cells in the skin with any other product. Not that I know of. As far as I know, we're the first ones to make anything
I don't think I've
remotely like
I
this.
don't think I've ever heard of nano collagen or anything that's like a putting it on your
Yeah.
face. I mean,
Well, we
again,
also make the nano
yeah,
collagen in, for the oral. We put it in the MCT oil and the Panacea. And how that came about was, so we base pretty much not all, but most of our formulas with the oil. It's MCT oil because it's really, really good for you. And there's almost nobody in the world that has an allergy to it. It's derived from coconuts. Well, you can derive it from several things, but we get ours
yeah.
from organic, non-GMO coconuts. And so we have all this MCT oil in vats at our lab. And I'm like, I was talking to one of our head guys at the lab, and I was like, maybe we should look at trying to formulate a glutathione and collagen infused MCT oil, because there's bodybuilders and athletes out there that are literally just chugging MCT oil plain by itself, right? For the gut and energy benefits of it, and for
Yeah,
the
I take
appetite
it.
suppressant, right? So I'm
Yeah.
like, we've got all this MCT. Why not make an MCT oil supplement that's more specific to, hey, I'm going to chug MCT oil. Let's nano size collagen and glutathione and infuse the MCT oil with it and make another supplement. That's what we did. That's how we came up with that. And nanosizing collagen is huge, because a lot of people, they take these collagen supplements, they don't realize that your body can't just take that collagen and put it to use. It would be like if you remodeled 100 houses and you took all the materials out of those old
Yeah.
houses and then took them to a new job site and tried to build a new house out of it. Your body has to literally break down all that collagen that you eat and then rebuild its own collagen,
That's
right?
what I've been wondering about too, because that's something I've taken a number of different kinds, and I just feel like it's one of those things I'm just like, I don't
You're
know if
not
it's
getting much out
doing
of it, because the
anything,
body
you know?
has to build its own collagen, just like it has to build its own
Right.
glutathione, unless you put the glutathione right in the bloodstream, which we do, right?
Yeah, that's
Same
so
thing with the
interesting.
collagen, the nano-sized collagen. It's broken down so small, you get
Mhm.
improved absorption with it, right? And it's it allows it to pass through, like, specifically for me, what I was thinking, because a lot of people don't realize this, but lack of collagen is one of the biggest reasons why you have what they call leaky gut syndrome, right?
Right, that's
And so
huge.
it'll actually, by nano-sizing it, and it doesn't get destroyed in the stomach acids like glutathione does, right? So it passes right through into the intestines. And so by nano-sizing it, it actually passes through the intestinal wall more efficiently, and it also enters the bloodstream as well, right? And once it's absorbed, those peptides actually stimulate fibroblasts, which are the cells that are responsible for producing collagen, elastin, and hyaluronic
So,
acid in the
and that
skin and other places in the body, right? So you're just giving
Mhm.
it even more of what it needs to do what it does, and making the job easier for your body.
And is that one of the things that's been affected by like GMOs? Is that kind of where leaky gut comes from? Or I mean,
I think some of it,
there's such
yeah,
an
that
onslaught.
and the glyphosate's a bad, I think,
Glyphosate.
yeah,
Yeah.
and other chemicals. It's
Uh,
not just one thing. I mean, we've been
so many.
bombarded with so many things,
Yeah,
heavy metals and chemicals and all kinds of stuff.
we're all doing our best. Everybody's doing our best. Yeah, it's really good to remember that though, because it's
Yeah,
like there is a lot of like guilt and shame around all the things. I mean, I also wanted to ask you about like thyroid health because that's a hot topic too. Because like again, we've
yeah,
been just so bombarded from every direction. Um, that I don't think if that was happening, we would have to quote unquote kind of work so hard to just have our vitality. That was a program we're moving out of.
right.
So yeah, we're just, educating ourselves and taking our power back and doing the best we can. Right.
Yeah. Well, I will say this, and again, I can't make medical claims. I don't need to, don't want to, but I'm just telling you as a matter of fact what's happened. I've had several testimonies of people after taking nano or nanoglutathione coming back to me, testimonies saying, I used to have a serious issue with my thyroid. In fact, I
Mm.
was on prescription medication for it. And
Yeah.
now my doctor has actually taken me off of it. I don't need it anymore. And they attributed it
Wow.
to the nano-glutathione. And what it does is so glutathione, this is just from a pure, not, this is not a medical claim. This is just pure scientific information that's a known fact. Glutathione actually plays a crucial supportive role in thyroid health because
Mm.
it influences hormone production. Number one, number two, it reduces inflammation. And that also protects the thyroid tissue. So then it helps your body to do the things it naturally wants to do, needs to do, and wants to do. And by detoxing at the same time, it gets all the crap out of the way that's not causing all the cells to communicate properly. It's causing, you have all the inflammation, then the cells can't communicate, they can't do what they need to do.
Yeah.
There's so much going on there, but glutathione is critical for the thyroid for that reason, and not just the thyroid, literally anything in the body you can think of. Again, this is why science calls it the master antioxidant.
Yeah, I know it's so massive. I mean, it's amazing like what we're learning now. I also just take something that I always talk about, and I'm curious your thoughts on it too, that I just feel like is really important because you mentioned inflammation. Um,
Hmm.
and I feel like that's again, it's like so many things, but inflammation is so huge, and so many people are deficient in just minerals. So I always take, minerals, and I always tell people to check, to check their mineral levels if they can, if anything's going on, because that's something
Yeah.
never talked about in the mainstream either. It's like I don't think I've ever heard a normal doctor say, "Oh, are you, how are your mineral
Yeah.
levels?" You know?
Well, speaking of minerals, okay, so everyone knows how important iodine is, right? And you're talking about with the
Hmm.
thyroid. Well,
Yeah.
here's another thing. Detoxification of halogens and heavy metals. Glutathione plays a crucial role in this. The thyroid, it's sensitive to toxins like
Mhm.
fluoride, chlorine,
Right.
bromine, mercury, all that stuff that we've already talked about a little bit. And it actually displaces iodine in the body that's needed for
Right.
thyroid hormones, right? And
Mhm.
glutathione actually enhances liver detoxification, okay?
Okay.
And that
Yeah.
actually helps the body clear out these thyroid disruptors. And so it's playing another crucial role there. There's other places where you're talking about mineral deficiencies and stuff like that where it's hurting the hair, the gray hair, that a lot of that could be
Yeah.
associated with
It's
mineral problems in the
what
body
if,
as well, and glutathione helps with
yeah,
that, of course.
because I've heard copper is a thing with hair. Is
Yeah.
that, is that true?
Yeah, it is. It absolutely
Okay.
is. It could be a copper deficiency, but here's the thing that see a lot of naturopaths, they and even like DOs, like allopathic medicine doctors who are more into the DOs are more into the natural stuff than the MDs are, right? So even those guys typically will want to run and go do all these blood panel tests. But the most important thing you can actually do, not just concerning hair color, but concerning everything, but this is one of those things, is that we actually do hair mineral tissue sample analysis. And
Okay.
so here's the thing, though, and that's great. You can do that because that's the most important thing I think you can do to figure out what's going on in somebody's body. But if you don't know how to read the damn thing, you can mess somebody
Right.
up even worse
That's so true.
because just because it's showing high or low in one area of a mineral in your body
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily mean you're actually high or low in that mineral because they're all interrelated and there's other things going on in the body that affect that. So you start taking too much copper because you're like, well, I'm low in copper.
Right.
You might be showing low in copper. You've actually got too much copper, and then you start taking too much copper, and then it causes chaos in the body. Remember, copper is a metal. That's what they make electrical wire out of, right? It's a
Yeah.
very good conductor. So you can create all kinds of crazy problems by trying to supplement with all these minerals because just because it looks like one thing or another, you think you're high or you're low on one, you may not even be. You may actually be high or low in another mineral that's making it look like, or the outcome is that you're high or low in a different one.
So yeah, that's a really good point. And that's kind of that point where people are just like, well, I don't even know what to do anymore. But
Right.
essentially it seems like your mission is really to like share about the glutathione because, and if correct me if
Hmm.
I'm wrong, it sounds like what it's doing, again, it's like setting us back to our blueprint and being able to then
Yeah.
absorb the
It's
minerals
not a
we
master
weren't.
fix all,
You know what I
but it's
mean?
definitely the foundation. And so start there is my point. And
I mean,
usually I can tell you, as a matter of fact, uh, if we get people on high doses of nanoglutathione, I don't care
Hmm.
what's going on with them, it almost always makes it at least a little bit better. Most of the time, it actually corrects the problem.
So does it like then help you? Because say like the mineral thing, it's like, would it say help people just absorb stuff that they weren't before? I mean, is that or rebalance it? I guess I just don't know the language, but
Yeah, I mean, it could be that. It just depends on what it is. I mean, there's so much. I mean,
yeah,
I don't want to make general statements and confuse people, or,
totally no.
people think I'm saying one thing and I'm not,
No
you
worries.
know?
Yeah. I know it's so exciting. I mean, I could talk all day about this test because I love
Yeah.
holistic health and I love learning. And I just know we've like been in the dark. It's like a lifelong educational process for me and probably anybody that's, here excited about this topic. But I
Yeah.
also just wanted to touch on before we tune out, I love that your company is a PMA, and I've talked about that here before. And I actually did a show with Adam, this guy who helped me set up my PMA because I have one for my company as
Yeah.
well, Auto Sagrado, and I'm super passionate about that. And I just want people to know why you did that, and because I think it's not only special, and it's basically like to me like we're taking our power back as humanity by using PMAs as one aspect, but also
Yes.
the way you're using it, it's really unique because you are the first company that I've ever been aware of using it in the way that you are. And so it's really cool.
Yeah. Well, as far as I know, there's no other nutrition or nutraceutical company, whatever you want to call it, out there that has the benefits of an MLM type structure where you can build a business, build a downline, but doesn't have any of the commercial nonsense and gimmicky MLM stuff with it. So what we did was we decided we want to be a nonprofit PMA, private member association. We're not going to operate in commerce. And by the way, we're not actually even going to sell any of the products because we're getting out of the commercial game completely. Here, so people are like, well, how do you get the products then? Well, you buy membership packages in the PMA, and depending on the membership package you select, that's the amount of or combination of products that come free with your membership and are sent to you. So, because of that, you also don't pay any sales tax. If you do have any taxes, it's because you're outside of the United States and you're probably paying, some kind of import taxes, duties, fees, whatever with your customs department. And there's nothing we can do about that. We can't hold a gun to your government's head and tell them to give you your products for not, no import taxes or whatever. So, you will have that, and there's nothing we can do about it. But you're not paying any sales tax because again, you're not buying the products. You're actually buying a membership, month to month membership in the PMA. And because we're nonprofit, we can actually pay out a lot higher revenue sharing to our members. Whereas all the other
Yeah,
nutraceutical companies out there that do the MLM thing, the company has to make money, the board members have to make money, the shareholders have to make money, investors have to make money. And so they don't pay out very much at all. We're paying out upwards of
yeah,
3 to 4 times the amount of other companies in our revenue sharing uh, design the way we've done it because we're a nonprofit. And oh, by the way, the only part of MLM we kept was the only feature that anybody wants, which is the ability to build a downline and a team. We got rid of all the gimmicky bullshit like you got to get 3 people that get 3 people that get 3 people or you don't get your
yeah,
bonus. The company keeps it. And oh, by the way, if one of those people doesn't sign up, your uncle's cat's daughter's cousin's aunt's uncle who knows your brother that signs up the mechanic, then you don't get your bonus. All that stupid crap done. It's very straight up.
yeah. I
No
love that.
gimmicks, and that's how we run.
I love that because it's a little bit more like affiliate instead of that. Because I'm
Yes.
someone and people don't always understand what MLM is, but my whole company, Mercado Sagrado, we were founded in 2014. Just, part of the mission was just to share beautiful people and creations and creators, everybody that was creating the new paradigm. So holistic
Yeah.
health to people making beautiful, natural fibers, clothing, whatever it was.
Hmm.
And so I've lived in that paradigm of just really promoting and sharing out of just love and appreciation and wanting to change the world. And really, if an MLM or affiliate or something like a company like that is integrity and do something amazing, then it's basically the same thing. And it's so wonderful to have that profit sharing because people can build a
Yep.
business around something they believe in and they're using. Because I don't I don't share anything, with Mercado Sagrado community or at our events or here that I don't believe in and that I'm not doing. I'm really just
Right.
sharing like this is what I'm doing. I think it's great, and
Yeah,
I'm
same.
excited about it.
Yeah.
So I love that. That's just to me that's a piece of the new world. Is it's more like, and it's interesting because I always talk about Mercado Sagrado with the reference the flower of life, because it's like here's me, and then we're connecting, and then we're creating this tapestry, and we're sharing and growing and rising together.
Hmm.
And you have that for, a version of that for your
Yeah. Well, and
logo.
by the way, I formulated that. And so nobody else, this is why I believe in it, because I know exactly what goes into it. I know exactly how it's made. And most of these nutrition companies out there, especially the ones that do MLM, all they're doing is they're going to some other big company that white labels the same
Yeah.
products for everybody
True.
else, and then they mark the shit up out of it, and so they can make a bunch of money off of it and then pay commissions to their MLM people in this gimmicky scheme the way they structure it. And that's what it is. You're getting garbage products. You're working in a garbage sleazy business that has, you don't even see it working that way, but I can tell you, I know. I've been in MLM my whole life.
Mhm.
I know how it works. I know how it operates. And so this is exactly why I founded this company the way I did, with the exact structure as a nonprofit PMA, with the revenue sharing plan with it. That's actually, it's called affiliate membership marketing, AMM. It's not multi-level marketing. We actually invented it. We created it. Like, we're the
That's
first ones to
awesome.
do it. It doesn't,
Yeah.
if it exists somewhere else, I don't know about it, right? But that's how we do it. And again, the products are completely proprietary. We make them. Nobody else does. We created them. And so that's what you're getting with us.
Yeah, I love it. No, it's beautiful. And it's just exciting because I mean, and I love the synchronicity when you're in the flow, because it was like, boom, we did that PMA talk. I'm doing an event in June. Also, you guys probably already know this. I'll put the link below, but we're using the PMA to hold that event, and our location is also PMA. And then as I'm really kind of diving into that conversation, then Honey introduces me to you and what you're doing. And I'm like, great, I've been looking for a really good Scion. So I just love how the weaving happens when we're like
Yeah.
in alignment and in the flow. And what you've created is super beautiful. I'm going to share all of the links below for Ethan and what you're doing, your show and Serona. And then it would just be great to have another talk sometime, because we didn't even get to get into like your book and all you just do a lot of amazing stuff.
Oh
So
yeah. Well, I'm in Nashville. I'm a singer-songwriter, I'm a musician. I have a rock band. I do solo artist stuff as well. Obviously, you see the guitars hanging out back there, but
love
that's
it.
that's why I'm probably the only CEO in the world that talks the way I do and dresses the way I do, because I hate corporate America. I don't want anything to
Yeah,
do with it. And that was the
same.
biggest reason for us structuring this company this way. I'm like, we're going to become the biggest nutraceutical company with the most potent products out there, and we're going to do it so anti-corporate,
Yes.
so anti-establishmentarianist, right? That's the old rock style. Like that's what rockers used to do, right? Like Rage Against the Machine used to
Yeah.
be
It
literal
used
rage,
to be.
like that. That's what I'm into, right? I'm a rocker at heart. So all of it, not just the music, but and people are like, "Why are you in Nashville?" You'd be surprised the rock scene that's in Nashville. But
Oh yeah.
um, yeah, in fact, David Cook, who a lot of people say I look almost just like him, and it's true, I really do. He won American Idol in 2008. He actually lives here in Nashville, and yeah, there's a ton of rock bands and rock singer-songwriters and stuff that live in Nashville. But anyway, yeah, so that's what I'm all about. So you're not getting, this isn't coming from a corporate
No.
business. Let's make find a way to make a bunch of money mindset. This is literally, I'm a naturopath. I'm tired of the bullshit. I'm a musician. I'm an artist. I'm creative. I hate corporate America. Let's strip down the whole system and show them how it should be done. And that's what we're doing.
Yes, love that. Exactly. Let's just create the new paradigm. Like, yes, everything is changing. There's so much happening, but there's also just the people on the leading edge that are just doing it. And
Yeah.
you're one of them. And thank you. And that's what we believe in here. Yeah, just creating the new paradigm and just letting so that as the old crumbles, it's like obsolete. Like we don't even
Yeah.
care. We're moving
Well, and
into.
that's why I custom made this hat too. I'm taking the MAGA thing to the next level. We're
Yes.
not just make America great again, make the whole and all of humanity great again.
Yeah, it's like a massive recalibration happening right
Yeah.
now, and it's so exciting. And yeah, just wonderful to talk to somebody who's a part of it. So thank you, Ethan. This was
Yeah. Of
really fun. Thank you so much for joining me.
course.
And thank you guys so much for being here. Have a
Yeah, thanks.
beautiful
We'll
rest
see
of
you.
your day. See ya.